Hey everybody, I am coming here because I wanted to share something that was on my mind. I've gotten a lot of emails and text messages and Facebook messages from many of you asking what it is that I'm doing to change my business a little bit. You might have seen my husband posted something in Jules about my January, and it was a really well written post. Way to go, babe. I see that you're watching, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from many of you, and I feel terrible that I can't get to all these messages and my team right now and help serve everybody. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to come here live and share a little bit about what I'm doing to get my business moving again. So here's a little backstory. So I titled this post, "Is your business existing or is your business thriving?" Right? And I was in a point of where my business was just existing. Many of you probably know I've said this several times in different mediums, but I had a really tough last year. It was really tough personally. David and I went through some stuff, but we are strong and good. Renovating a house is not easy. And so I had to step back from my business, and I had developed a good foundation enough to where it kept going. It didn't necessarily grow, but it was a solid maintenance. And but in a quick, short 2 months, it was as if the bottom came out from under my business. Now, I don't say that to scare anybody, but I do say that to share that maybe, maybe you found yourself in a similar position, or maybe someone on your team, a teammate, a Joel beneath you, or a Ruby beneath you has found themselves in a similar position, or maybe you're in full blast momentum and you want to know how to keep it there, right? I really feel like these things that I'm going to share could apply to anybody. So I'm gonna be real here. If you know me, I tend to just kind of give a little tough love and say it as it is. But I'm gonna be real. For us as a collective group, the past couple of years have been challenging, right? We've had back office changes. We've had product reformulations, which are good. It's a good thing, but it's change. Still hard to manage change. We've had cross recruiting, right? We've had people leave. All these different things can change a dynamic in our business. And we have to be really good at being flexible and adaptable to that. And I feel like, if I can say this, I feel like stepping back for a little while, looking at Jules across the way, I feel like a lot of us were tossing spaghetti. Give me some hearts if you have any idea of what that means. But I say the analogy of tossing spaghetti. You know when you cook spaghetti noodles and you put them in the water and you boil them and then you take them out and you throw it to the wall to see if it's ready, right? Okay, I feel like that's kind of what we were doing, is we were like, let's try this over here and let's try this and see if this works, and let's toss it and see if it works, right? And so you'd come here to this amazing, fabulous all one Plexus page, and there would be like a new system, a new thing, all these different things for us to, oh, well, maybe I should do this. Oh, well, they're doing this over here. Oh, and so we were like, oh my gosh, what do we do, right? And I feel like we were bogging ourselves down with all these systems, right? And systems are important. I want you to hear me on that. But we were adapting so quickly to, oh, let's try this work and let's see what this works, because we were in a state of mind of going, oh my gosh, I've got to do something different because I'm not liking where my business is. And so you had a lot of Jules doing a lot of things, and then coming here and seeing all these different things. And then we had some Jules that were posting these massive busy calendars, which works for some teams and it doesn't for others. And then we found ourselves filling our calendars with all these different things. And it was like, whoa, something has shifted. Did y'all feel that? Give me some hearts if you felt that. Like, culture has shifted. The way I feel, my energy towards my business has shifted. The culture on my team page has shifted. All those different things, right? I felt that. I don't know, maybe I could be alone on that, but I felt that, right? And so I kind of stepped back for a little bit, and I wanted to assess the situation, right? And before I begin, I want to explain that what I have done, why you're seeing where I'm at now, it started 4 months ago, right? So this is a 90 to 120 day process where it's just now coming to fruition. So that's really important to understand, right? We always say what you do today affects your 90 days. This is definitely the case here. But I wanted to step back, and I tried all the different systems, and I tried all the different, calendar things, and I realized what it was doing. My team was already in a state of overwhelm. My team was already in a state of defeat. My team was already in a state of frustration, resentment, all of these negative spaces to be in. And then I was slapping on new systems. I was slapping on all these different things to hop on and do this because I was tossing spaghetti, and I was trying out there with a fly swatter going, who can I catch? Who can I catch? Right? And what it ended up doing was it ended up creating even more overwhelm, and it created busy work for my team, at least. And so I pulled that stuff, and I thought, okay, wait a minute, we got to get back to basics, right? We got to get back to basics. And so that's the two pieces that I had to remind myself of so that I could then remind my team of. It's two foundational building blocks of this business. It is connection and it is conversation. Connection and conversation. Write those two words down, guys. Connection and conversation. And guess what? Those two things take time and energy from you, right? This is not a quick and easy fix, right? You didn't get to where you are currently, or the rank that you're holding by doing something easy. It's simple, but not easy, right? And I'm not saying anything here that's new and earth-shattering, okay? I'm not saying that. But in order for me to decide, let me back up. In order for me to change my business from existing to thriving, I had to first decide that I was going to do it, right? I had to decide that I was done. I had to decide that enough was enough. I had to decide that a change is a happening, right? I had to decide that. And when you make a decision, guess what? It turns out it's possible, right? And then I had to assess. I had to decide and assess. And I had to kind of rip the Band-Aid off a little bit. I called my coach and I said, all right, slap it on me. Give me all the stats. Tell me all the things, right? And I was nervous and I was shaking and I was like, oh, what's my silver percentage, right? What's my recruitment rate, which is easily looked at? What is my rate of people going silver consistently? What's my subscription rate? All those different things. It gives you a good pulse on your business. But I love the silver, the first time silver rate. That's a good one. But I had to really assess, and I had to do a heart check. I had to go, okay, where are you at, Tara? Because you can't lead a team in a negative heart space. And if you're frustrated, if you're paralyzed, if you're overwhelmed, if you have a lack of care, right? I've been there. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say this on Jules' page, but there has been a time where I really didn't even want to hear or say the word plexus, right? That's where I was. I'm being honest, right? And I had to decide, okay, is my team resenting plexus? Am I resenting plexus, right? For whatever reason. Do I have shame about my business, right? All these different things I had to look at. And then if I were feeling these things, don't you know my team was too, right? And so I had to look at that piece of it. And I had to be honest with the state of mind that I was in, right? So maybe you're in momentum right now and you want to know how to keep it, right? Or maybe you were where I was and I was slow and stuck and I wanted to fix it, right? I'm a red personality. If you have not already figured out, I'm a type 3 on Enneagram. If you have not already figured it out. So I got to pen and paper and I got serious on what I was doing with my business. So here are some tips that will, one, keep you in momentum and or get you into momentum, right? We want to thrive. We want that thriving feeling, right? So this is for everybody here. Okay. I had to, one, be fully committed, but then I had to invite my leaders back. So my level 1 Jules, my level 1 leaders, I had to touch base with them again. I had to get connected with them again. I had to love on them again as a friend, right? Because when I went through my stuff, I tend to go into a depression, if I can say, and I go like radio silent because I just don't want to face anybody or anything. And so that was something I personally had to go through to reconnect with my team and regain influence with them and friendships, right? Something that's important to know is, guess what? It's their timing, not yours, right? We've heard that before. So when you invite leaders back, sometimes it can take others longer than others, right? So you've got to be there, let the door open, be there ready for when they're ready to receive that. So here's what I did in month 1 to really get myself running. I asked my coach for a report of my 1 through 4s, levels 1 through 4s, of anybody that sponsored 2 or more ambassadors in the last 120 days. And what that did for me was it really showed me who was working their business, right? Really looking at who was interested in growing their business, right? Growing their team. And I reached out and I connected with every single one of those people. Right? Many of them I had already had relationships with because I'm a full believer in taprooting, getting down there, talking with your levels 1 through 3, 1 through 4, getting a relationship built with them, letting them know that you're there should their uplines, be busy or life, whatever, but connecting with them. But I spent a lot of time. I spent about a week blocked off, really looking at my 1 through 4s, and I got busy with them. Hey guys, hey Cassandra, hey Sally. And I got on the phone with them. I talked with them. I congratulated them. I introduced myself to them if they didn't know who I was. I recognized them. I added value to who they were and what they were doing, right? And I said, wow, that's amazing. You're 1 away from silver. Or, you know what? You're so far away from this goal. That's amazing, right? So I really focused on connecting with them. My first week was very busy, I'll be honest. My first week, I had 5 to 10 coaching calls Monday through Friday. I was busy. I was like, hey, if you're ready to run, I'd love to game plan with you and just touch base with you. And I invited them on a phone call, right? So I really worked on that connection and conversation piece, right? I connected with anybody. I'm looking at notes over here, so don't forget something. In that same first 30 days, I connected with anybody who had quit Plexus and or the business over my 5 years. I've been with Plexus for 5 years. So I then looked at that list, right? So my level 1s, I was looking at wholesale ambassadors and especially business builders. In my 1 through 3s, I looked at any business builders that had quit, and I either personally reached out to them if I had a relationship with them, or I reached out to their upline. I said, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking of doing. And we did it together, and we simply invited them back. Right? I don't have a script for this, guys, because I don't think a script is good here. I spoke earnestly. I spoke from my heart. I explained how I missed them. They were a vital part of the team's energy and community, and that they were missed. And I think I got like 14 business builders in my 1 through 3s back that first 30 days. Some of them have done nothing. Some of them have done a lot. Some of them just got to reorder again. Remember, it's their timing, not ours. And I focused heavily on like FaceTime, right? So I wasn't just doing phone calls. I was doing FaceTime. I was doing Zoom. I was meeting them for coffee. Into my 2nd and 3rd month of doing this, I traveled a lot, right? And I had to talk to David, and I had to tell my kids and say, hey, this is something that I feel is really valuable for my business right now. And I had to kind of speak to my shareholders, right? I had to get in touch with them. I say, this is what I think I need to do. I've got to go to Dallas. I've got to go to Houston. I've got to go down to San Antonio, wherever I could travel that was within reason, to go meet with these individuals one-on-one and show them that I was committed to them, that I thought that they were worth it for me to connect with them, right? So I did that. And I held weekly accountability calls with those individuals who showed me that they were wanting to work for the first 30 to 60 days, right? So my calendar, if you want to look at it, this is not for the faint of heart, right? It was busy. I had weekly stuff with individuals set up. Now I will say this, guys, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I couldn't do this like forever, right? And I couldn't either. It was kind of like, I think Blair Lavoie, part of my upline team, she always says that I do really heavy 90 days pushes and then I relax for 90 days. And I do 90 days push and then I relax for 90 days. And this is an example of that, where I said, okay, I'm committing myself for 90 days to really push and then kind of fall back, right? Not fall back, but like relax a little bit, find that harmony within my business, and allow the automation of my team to happen, that duplication, right? So my first 30 to 60 days of these calls, it was busy. It was something that I committed to. And then I was able to step back a little bit and go, okay, now they're kind of running. I can let the birdie fly from the nest and I'll check in with them a little bit later, but now I've got to go focus over here, right? So it's not like completely bogging down my schedule for forever and ever and ever, right? It's just setting them up so that they can walk and run, right? And then I created something with the help of Katie Trent. We created what's called our Ambassador Toolkit. We took Brooke Hemingway's Developing Silvers worksheet and her Road to Recruiting worksheet, and I added a couple of documents to this and created one solid PDF. It's a 7-page PDF, and it sounds overwhelming, but I promise it's not. The first page is like the 64 connections list, right? The second page, I think, is I don't know the order. I'd have to look at it. But I created a follow-up chart that explains exactly when to follow up with individuals that have already ordered, right? 4 days to check their receipt, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, then every 2 weeks until you have a problem. It's like it has that chart. And this toolkit is for those individuals that need something in hand and that really need that focus. Not everybody's going to use it, but it's shown to be useful, right? I also have what's called an Ensuring Their Success map. This is targeted to help those yellows on my team. In essence, it's a troubleshooting map, but I took it and I created a flow chart for how to follow up with individuals, and then if they have issues with Plexus, what to recommend based on those issues. So it's right there because I felt like there was a training lag in my team on how to troubleshoot and what to say, and people were afraid of it. So I wanted to create an Ensuring Their Success map, right, on how we can help our friends be successful with Plexus. But a gem in this toolkit, and I can post it here, a gem in this toolkit that I think has been really great for the most people is our daily IPA tracker sheet. And if you watched the Power Hour I did with corporate several months ago, I mentioned this, and it tells them exactly how they can track a month's worth of work and some goals and some activities that they can focus on, right? And so I have this for those individuals that need that accountability, right? And that proved to be helpful. As I began to shift, right, so I'm heavily connecting, I'm heavily conversing, having those conversations with people on my downline. Then we had that 199 shift. If you look in this page, and the reason I'm highlighting this is I've seen a lot of posts either on Diamonds or on this page of like, how do I start having that conversation about that 199 pack. And this is so key right now because we have this incredible double incentive, right? How many are you excited about this? Give me some hearts. Like, this is huge. Do you guys understand that? Do not waste these next 9 days on this because this is a massive incentive that can really recharge not just you. Don't think about you, think about your team. Think about those silvers. Think about those golds that need to re-rank or rank up. This is making it possible. This is how you're going to get your team going. This is not about you. This is about helping them get pay points, them get a paycheck, them find belief, them get the energy. This is the incentive to do that. Right? How incredible is this incentive? So how do we promote it? We've got to be talking about the 199 welcome packs. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about how I've changed this in my team because I made a post in here about that. If you search this Jules page, how to share 199 packs, I think if you search those keywords, it will pop up. It's a little wooden graphic with a fern on the side. How do you share? And it talks about the psychology behind this, guys. You cannot move forward in your business if you don't have your team's buy-in. They have to be bought in. It's the same saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink it. They've got to have reason to drink it, right? And we know as leaders that these 199 packs are amazing. But why is it amazing for everyone on our team? Even the person that's just going to sign their husband or their best friend and they don't really have interest of the business quite yet. go to that post and I will, it explains the psychology behind it, the verbiage, everything that you need. When I did that, the first 30 days, I did a live on my team page about it. I did another live on my team page about it. I spoke with each one of my top level 1 leaders to duplicate that down, and then I posted that. We had 79% of all of our joins last month do $199 welcome packs. 79. The average for the company, I was told, is between 40 and 50. So having that legwork done on getting my team's buy-in about those $199 packs proved to help, right? So there's that resource for you guys. I want to share a little bit about January, because here's something that I just did, and it's like, I'm very excited about it. Okay, so January happened for me. We increased my account, David's account, and my reentry. We increased over 1,200 points. And I don't say that to gloat at all, but y'all, I hadn't seen point increases in a long time, okay? And so to have that, I was like, I mean, you found me at the end of the month on my couch crying, because it was as if like my team was back. And I saw the energy on my team, and we were commenting in that Slim Jim. We're called the Slim Jims. We were just running and going, and it was like, we were back. Oh my God. And we were so excited, right? And my uplines helped me, and my leaders were helping, and everybody was coming together. And it was like, I just cried, right? And it was so amazing. And so I had that epiphany to that very next weekend, the first weekend after the close of January. I spent 7 hours doing something, right? And it kind of like, I didn't intend on necessarily doing it, but it was like a rabbit hole thing. But I got out of my house, and I went to the dollar store, and I went and got a cheapo binder, like a cheapo binder about this big, right? And then a whole bunch of like those dollar notebooks, right? And so you see that I bought quite a few, and then I put little sticky notes, because I was too cheap to go buy dividers. I put sticky notes to create dividers based on those important leaders, those bigger teams, right? And so I created one book for each level 1 that I had. And then I broke those down. So typically when I was helping my team run, I would start from the top and go down like, okay, here's where my level 1s are, and where do I want to help them go? Okay, so where do I need these people to go? And I'd always done it that way. And it was as if I had this like, moment of going, stop, let's go backwards and try this. And so I literally went backwards up, right? And so how did I get there? What do I mean by that? It took me some time, okay, but it was 7 hours, well worth it, and I'll tell you why. I had my binders with level 1s, right? So I wrote their name down, and then I got busy in my back office, and I searched them, went to their downline, and then I wanted to see where those individuals' points were coming from. So then I filtered. If you go to the points and rank up, the genealogy, you can filter from the previous month, double click, I think it's points column, where the top points came from. Bing, bing, bing. There's the top legs, right? So then I looked at them. So, okay, so I wrote their 2 names down, and I'm just going to give some names arbitrarily here. So Sarah's team, okay? Sarah is my level 1, and then she's getting her points from Melissa and Amanda, right? And then I went and clicked on Melissa, and I did the same thing. Bing, bing. Okay, here's where her main points are. And anybody that was a level 1, right? I referenced level 1. Anybody that was a level 1, I knew that those were level 1 legs that were producing points, right? Careful though, because you can have like higher points as a level 2, but that's underneath somebody. So you got to be watchful of that. So I broke it down all the way down. Hey, Melissa. I broke it down all the way to look at where points were coming from. And I dug and I dug and I dug and I dug all the way down to like 7 levels until I got to 10 points, right? To see truly where points were coming up from. Who was working? Where were these points coming from? Man, that was eye-opening to me in and of itself. I was like, wow, I had no idea that individual was producing that, or that person was under this person, right? Or that this team had this excitement going on, right? So it was really fascinating and really helpful information for me to take a look at my business, right? Your business owners own it. I think Jen Cooper reminded me of something that I said to her one time. I said, guys, I said to her, maybe on a Zoom, I don't know, I talk a lot. But I said something to her that resonated. If you're going to treat this as a diamond business, if you want to go diamond, roll your shoulders back and act like a CEO that owns your business. Sit up straight and take ownership. This is taking ownership, right? And if this is not your strong suit, pair up with somebody that it is, right? Pair up with somebody. But break this down. So we got all the way back. I digress. Go back. I got all the way down to see where these points were coming from, right? And then I worked backwards. And I set a 4 and 8 month goal for the whole team, right? So I literally used like an entire notebook, right, to do this. But I looked and I saw, okay, what's 4 months? What's 4 months? 4 months is May. So what are they going to walk in at convention, right? So that's why I did a 4 month marker. And then 8 months, it's a great milestone, part of the Q3 of the year, right? Right around like November or so, to really just look and see where we could move. And I went from these backwards up and I said, okay, so Susie Joe down here, she's got 35 points, right? Okay, so she needs to rank up to gold because it says right at the top her next rank, or let's say she needs to re-rank, right? She's at 35 points and her next rank up is senior gold, right? We know that she's not maintaining. Let's subtract that. So 100 minus 35. Okay, let's do 25 because I'm not good at math on the spot. 25, so she needs 75 points, right, to hit gold for the first time. Divide that by 5. How many is that, right? And then divide that by 4. 4 months. Right? Divided by 8 if it's a bigger number. This is what I saw in January. This is what I saw. I saw the importance of a lot of people doing a little bit of work consistently. It moved mountains not just for me, but for every single person on my team. Every single person on my team saw a monumental January, point growth in January. I also probably will say something a little controversial. I don't mean to start any sort of conversation about it, but I am a proponent of sales. And my uplines and I, we teamed together and we offered sales for my team to bring in new joins or white lines. And it wasn't necessarily, nothing was too outrageous. But it was, I did it for deeper levels, but I wanted to give them, my team needed light. They needed hope. They needed the vision. They needed to believe it again. And so I did a countdown on my team page. This is how many spots I have left for this amount and this level and this amount and this level. And so as people ordered or joined, they were commenting. And I was counting down and everybody was excited and we were running and the energy was building and people were hitting goals. And it was like, hey-oh, this is happening, right? And I was happy to spend the money. I didn't necessarily make it back in 30 days, but I know I'm going to make it back in 90. But guess what? It wasn't about me. It's about them. It's about them. They saw excitement again. They saw belief. They wanted to work. I had teams coming out of the woodworks that hadn't done anything in a long time. It was worth it. Okay. Now, if you are not a fan of sales, no judgment here. You do you, I'll do me, but that's just a tip that I have. So as I worked backwards and I saw all these individuals where it was like, okay, if Susie Joe did 2 recruits consistently over 4 months, she'd hit gold, right? And then Susie Joe is part of someone that, let's say Brenda up at the top. And Brenda has 2 legs. Well, if Susie Joe hits her goal of 2, and Brenda does her goal of 3, and Sarah, her other level 1, does a goal of 2, boom, boom, boom. If everybody does their piece, boom, Brenda's Ruby, right? And so it was like, and I know I already did this, but it was like God had shone down on my business, and it was like, oh, because it was the strangest thing that literally 42 people in my 1 through 3s all could promote or re-rank in 4 months. It just happened to work out that way. How amazing is that, right? I love little God winks. And so I got really excited, like really excited. When I get really excited, I can be a little annoying. But I got really excited. And then I went backwards up still. And I looked, okay, well, if Sarah did this and Brenda did this and Carla did this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, then where would that put my level 1? Y'all, I was like, okay, reference The Little Mermaid, Sebastian, who's on the little crab, he's on the rock and he sees Ariel walking for the first time and his mouth just goes, that's like me. That was me. That was me, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so I quickly called Katie, and I'm sure she was like, whoa, sister friend, you need to slow down because I can't even understand you. But I was so excited for her because if everybody did 2 or 3 enrollments, right, which is the goal anyway, if everybody did 2 or 3 enrollments, I mean, I'm talking huge point growth for her and for my other level 1s, right? I'm talking massive. Now, a key thing to remember is we have to teach our teens maintenance, right? Follow up, right? So if you have a white line ordering last month and they order again this month with a white line, that does not replace one of their 2 or 3 that they needed the following month. That's just maintaining, right? So the 2 or 3 that they needed month to month consistently is new while maintaining the old. And how do we maintain the old? Silver, 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 silver. I'll say it here in case you haven't seen it before, but the lifespan of a silver is nearly 13 months versus someone who's not silver, which I think is 2 or 3 months, right? So helping them go silver, and I'm going to talk about my simple start if you didn't see that post. See how everything's kind of piecing together, right? And so what I did after I spent all this time kind of boom, 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 stacking it up and looking to see how I could help this individual down here in level 7 reach their goal because it's going to affect everybody up, how I can get everyone's buy-in, right? And something that was so important, that was so obvious to me is, and maybe this was just my team a long time ago, but when we were in like full-blown momentum, and this was about 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, we were in such momentum, I couldn't keep my head on straight. But what we were doing is we would like go and then we push really hard for a promotion, either for me, like the whole team or a leg on my team. And then it'd be like birthing this baby, worth it, every bit of it. But it was like moving mountains. And then we'd and then push again, right? Raise your hand, give me some hearts if you know what I'm talking about. Maybe it was just me. But it was very obvious to me that that is not the case where we are today. We've had to adapt to certain things, right? And so we've tried in the past to push, and it's like it doesn't work correctly for us like it used to. So we've had to put on our flexibility caps and move forward and adapt to change, right? And so what I realized was it's not about that big moving mountains thing. It's about a consistent action done over time that's not huge, but that's done by a lot of people, right? Having that buy-in. So then I took this and I called my level 1s and I said, you got to get on FaceTime with me or Zoom so I can explain this. Explained it to them. And then we scheduled a call for their team, right? The people that were producing, whether that was 3 people or 20 people, we got on a Zoom with their team. And I explained this to them and their team. And on the call, I asked for their permission. I said, okay, Carly, I'm going to ask for your permission right now. We're going to talk about your real points in front of the whole team, but I'm going to show you what you can do. Do I have your permission to share what your points are? Yes, you do. So then we were holding each other accountable in these calls. Like we're in it together, right? And everybody cheered each other on and they started to see this light at the end of the tunnel, right? And along these Zooms I was having, I kept talking about the space between. So we see where we are now, and then we see where we want to be, but we can get caught in that space between. And that stupid Dave Matthews song kept getting stuck in my head, the space between. Now it's stuck in your head. But I was like, we can't get stuck in that space between and that fear of the unknown, because that's where we have failed ourselves, right? When you take 1 month off of your personal recruiting or helping your level 1s personally recruit, it sets you back 4 months. Just like if you work this month, it sets you forward 4 months. And that was made so evident to me when I was doing this breakdown of my team. Consistent action. So us pushing really hard for that one promotion, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't creating that full-blown production that we needed. So I spent time doing this with my team. Along the way, we had these new business builders coming in, and I wanted to make it as simple as I don't know, ice. Is ice simple, right? Forgive me for a silly analogy, but I wanted it simple, like so simple. It was like dummy proof, right? And so that's where the Simple Start program came about that I posted about, I think it was yesterday, and how to train up a new business builder to go silver, right? Because that silver piece is so important. And it's actually very similar to Brooke Hemingway's that she posted a few days before. I hadn't seen it, and I saw it after I posted. So, you know, hey, at least I know I'm doing something right if Brooke Hemingway is doing it, right? And so it's very simple. It's very simple, but you get them to follow that. And how I got my team to do that, guess what? Conversation and connection. I would do it with my level 1 new business builders, and then I would do it with, if my level 1 got a new level 1, that 3-way call. And I did that 2 or 3 times with certain individuals, and then they could duplicate that down. I even did so much of a team Zoom because it was a brand new team that was emerging, and they had like 7 people that were ready to go silver. So I did my Simple Start call with them as a team, right? And one of my favorite things at the end of that call is I always hear it, and I love it. I smile so big, but I love to hear, that's it? Oh, okay. Like, that's where I want them to be. Right? I don't want to trick them into thinking that it's like easy, but I want them to know it's simple, and I don't want to bog them down with information. I want them to feel empowered and confident and ready to go, right? And so, and then as they begin to sign people, as they begin to move on, as they begin to rank up or move closer to ranks, then I'm doing additional coaching and training. But that first piece needs to be so simple, right? I don't ever really mention the business. I never really mention silver. I just share specific goals to get them going, right? And then one thing that I have started redoing on my team, that it's kind of like, why didn't I do this earlier on? But Katie Trent started doing it on her team, and it was huge success. So shout out to her. Was every time somebody signed up with a $199 welcome pack, I was shouting it out multiple times a day on our team page. And it was that public edification of the right action that I want to happen. Something that's so important, guys, is what you talk about on your team page is what you're going to get. So what are you talking about? What are you really, like, scroll through a lot of your posts. What are you talking about, right? I'm talking about $199 welcome packs. I'm talking about recruitment. I'm talking about positivity, exciting things, right? So what you talk about is what you're going to get. So be mindful of that. So we talked a lot about $199 welcome packs. And the 2 questions that I'm going to leave you with tonight is, or one question, but 2 pieces of the puzzle, is always in the back of your mind, be asking yourself, how can I add community and value to individuals on my team? How can I add community and value to individuals on my team? And when you focus on those 2 things, right, that's when things kind of start coming together. So I know this was a lot of information, and you can break this down. And remember, this is something I've done over 4 months, right? 4 months, right? So it's taken me some time. Revisit this video, right? But kind of go through the stages, or re-watch this and kind of take some notes and go, okay, what was this again that she did here? I want to open it up right now for any questions. This is why I chose to do a live here, to see if you had any questions. I'm also going to be creating a URL for this so that you can share this with your teams. But does anybody have any questions? If you do, feel free to pop them in the comments. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll up and see live comments here. Any questions? Is this helpful? Give me some hearts if this is helpful. I don't want it to be overwhelming. It truly wasn't overwhelming for me when I broke it down and really looked at it, and just kind of set my pace forward. But this is how not only am I going to get unstuck, because I know that it got me unstuck, but how I'm going to maintain momentum in a reasonable way where I'm not breaking my back, right? Isn't that what we all want, right? We want to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labors, and by golly, we should be able to do that. I think setting this up and creating that consistent behavior from many people is a way for us to do that. I'm trying to see. I don't really see any comments. Let's see. Well, they're all jumbled. I'm so sorry, guys, if I miss a comment here. Okay, I hope this was really helpful. I have a good feeling about this month for every one of us. I hope that you take some time, if you haven't already, I hope that you take some time to really dig into your business and show them what the power of this incentive could do, right? One thing that helped my team was them knowing their number. What was their number, right? And I understand that, for example, yellows might not really like this idea, but if you don't know where you're going, how do you get where you want to be, right? So, they're part of being a business owner, right? And everybody on this page is a business owner, is knowing those numbers, right? And it's okay. You don't have to be a master at it, but it's okay to know that number. But what is their number? Their number to re-rank or rank up for the first time, right? And I usually do that in their 1 through 3s divided by 5, right? So where they want to end their points, where their current ending points were, subtract those two, divided by 5, that's 1 through 3. If I'm looking at a jewel, I might do 4.5 for their average pay point to know the number of people that need to order/join over the last month for them to get to where they want to be. If they know their number, with this new incentive, they can literally cut it in half if they got to work, right? If they got to work. Let me check these comments. Okay. Make sure. What were my incentives for people under 100 PV? I believe it was like $20 off for my 1 through 4s and maybe $15 or $10 off for my, I'm trying to remember, my 5 and 6s. So I really tried to help anybody in my team. Don't quote me on that. I think it was something like that, guys. But something that was pretty reasonable for me to make a little bit money back, so I wasn't completely in the hole, but that gave my team inspiration to run with that. But wasn't too high of a sale where it was cheapening our products. I don't like to do that. All right. Okay, I think that was all the questions. Okay, guys, I hope this was helpful. I just felt called to share this because I feel awful that I haven't even gotten back to some of your messages, but I'm also swamped with the team, which is a good problem to have, right? And I pray that each of you get swamped with your team in the best way possible. It's a fun place to be, but I hope this serves you guys best because I know in my heart of hearts, 2019 is going to be a different year. It is going to be a huge year for us. I'm speaking it into light. I am speaking it every day. I can sense it. I can feel it. I know you guys can sense it. I am ready for a change. Our company is doing amazing things. I am not being Miss Pollyanna over here. I am telling you guys that 2019 is each and every one of our years, but we got to do the legwork first. We've got to put the work in first. We've got to be doing our personal recruitment first. We've got to be helping our silvers go silver. We've got to be developing new level 1 senior silvers and golds. Use the fast start, guys. Use these programs and be grateful for these programs. I know that they're kind of complicated. Some of them are, but I don't care because it's something that can build my business, right? I'm grateful for it. So be grateful for the things that we have. Be grateful for where we're going. Live with a grateful heart and believe because I know 2019 is going to be your best year yet. Love you guys.